everybody, and thanks for joining me here on Vital Wisdom. This is an introduction to the podcast, and I thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself first. So I'm a naturopathic doctor. I hold a specialty in homeopathy and a specialty as a vitalist from the Naturopathic Medicine Institute. And as I visit with you each week, I'm going to explain all that stuff. I started my career as a naturopathic doctor after I realized that I really didn't want to push drugs on people. I didn't want to write scripts for antibiotics to everybody who came in my office. What I wanted to do was figure out why people weren't doing well and how to rebuild their health so that they could thrive. That was my interest in medicine. And that's why I had to become a naturopathic doctor, because at the time I went to school over 20 years ago, the options to learn how to do that in an MD or DO school were slim pickings. And I didn't want to simply see disease, name it, and write a drug for it. To me, that is not medicine, that's not healing. And I knew that even before I went to medical school. So I started in ophthalmology way back when, which is what started me thinking that I might like to be in medicine, and I didn't follow that path, but I did follow the path of naturopathy. And along the way, I got a little bit of education about vaccinations and things like that, and I don't consider myself anti-vaccine, but I am absolutely anti how vaccines are done today. I think the current vaccine program is criminal, and we need less than half of what is currently given out, if we need any at all. And this happened really once my practice started. So I graduated in 2005, and one of my first patients was a young child who was on the autism spectrum. And the mom came in and she said, I've tried everything and I really don't want to do any more drugs, and can you help? And I said, well, what I'm trained to do is restore health in a human being. And once health is restored, there's really no need for symptoms of illness because the human's not ill anymore. And she said, I totally resonate with that. And I was like, well, good, because that's exactly how I view medicine. And so I did with that child what I do with all of my patients, and that is to figure out what the body needs to remove what's poisoning the body and to stimulate their innate healing ability, or stimulate their vital force to heal. And over a period of a few months, that child completely recovered. And moms talk, and through word of mouth, my practice really exploded into treating a lot of folks on the spectrum, more than half. The other half was, folks not on the spectrum and people suffering from chronic illness or acute illness. And with all of them, I did the same thing. I removed what was causing toxicity in their body, healing damage that had happened because of toxicity that was created, giving each person individually what they needed to thrive, and stimulating their own innate healing ability, stimulating their vital force. For almost 20 years, I had a full-time booming practice until a couple of years ago, I decided to become a homestead farmer and be a doctor part-time. And being a homestead farmer, specifically with the desire to learn and pass on Cherokee lifeways. So I'm part Cherokee, I'm part Scottish, I'm part Italian, but I've really identified with the Cherokee side of myself and the first people's approach to living life, which is you have to think 7 generations down the line. We're supposed to leave the earth better than we find it. Native medicine already followed these sort of vitalistic principles of giving the body what it needs to thrive and removing things that were poisoning it and preventing it from thriving and stimulating the body's healing ability. So it was a good match, And we now have our own garden, large garden that feeds not only ourselves but many people in our community. And we have horses and we have chickens and bees, and soon to be added to our homestead farm are goats, because they'll eat the persimmon trees that are like the most troublesome thing ever. And pigs, because they'll help dig up the ground and help us restore the pastures. And dairy, cow, and of course we'll get dairy from the goats as well. We're planning on really branching out into many different beehives. We have built a cabin here, so folks, especially Cherokee at large, can come and stay and learn this life, which is a regenerative agriculture, sustainable lifestyle. Alt energy, alt water catchment, hunting, fishing, preserving our own foods, and maybe the biggest piece of all is teaching other people how to do this. So folks come here, they take classes from us, they learn how to do this, because I really think it's important that I'm not saying it will, but should our infrastructure struggle, collapse, or anything happen, I wanted to know that I could feed my family, clothe my family, and that we could continue to live life and thrive and reach our higher purpose of living, whatever that might be for each of us. I love what I do now, and if you ever want to just come hang out and visit and see what's going on at Long Shadows Ranch, which is the name of our homestead farm, I welcome you to come up. We have a lot of acres that you can throw a tent. It's primitive camping. The cabin's pretty booked most of the time with folks trying to learn this lifestyle. As I have gone through my career, I've done a lot of writing and blogging and posting and interviews on podcasts, and many people had told me many times, you need to have your own podcasts, something I can plug in and listen to as I drive here and there or as I'm working. And so I finally decided that it's time, and I named it Vital Wisdom, because I think it's imperative to pass this information on to many generations of humans. It's wisdom, right? We can have knowledge, but unless we know how to use that knowledge, we haven't really gained wisdom. How and why? And I was in a place where I just knew a lot of stuff, and I didn't necessarily know what to do with it. But as I learn what to do with it, as I become wiser, I want to pass on this wisdom, and I think really important things, hence Vital Wisdom. There are cornerstones to health, and we're going to talk about that over the coming years. Cornerstones of health being food and water and sleep and energy and movement and love and community and environment. All of these things are within the human's power to change, to craft in a way where it helps us thrive, not only us, but the rest of our community. And each of these topics are big topics. There's a lot to know, right? I spent 4 years learning the basics of these topics, and then the next 20 years going even deeper and then learning how to incorporate that into my life and helping other people incorporate it into their life. So I feel like I have a lot of information to share with people, and I'm really excited to do that through Vital Wisdom. I have written a few books. I've written The Unvaccinated Child, which is right there. And that is for people, whether their children are vaccinated or not, but especially for people whose children are unvaccinated, how to raise thriving, healthy kids. No matter what childhood illness comes their way, there are instructions and support and details. It's a guide. It's a guide for raising very healthy children. Like I said, should you vaccinate or not, but especially if you don't vaccinate, what are you going to do, right? Or if you just want to raise thriving, healthy kids. I mean, there's some great information in there. I also wrote Smoke Rings, which is right there. And that is another practical guide for people who may or may not be on the path to quitting smoking. Unfortunately, the statistics are not super bright. for folks who try and quit smoking. 3% are successful in forever quitting. Well, what about the other 97%? Right? People who are doing something to their body every day that's damaging. How do we support those people? So for me, it's not about just telling people to quit, although that's the best thing. It's not the only thing. And there's so much someone who smokes anything can do every day to support the health of their body and create a less toxic body. And that's what that book's about. I also wrote a book about homeopathy, but it hasn't come back from the publisher yet. You'll be the first to know when it does. And it's how folks can take their own healthcare into their own hands. Why? Because you are your own best doctor. It should be a rare thing for you to go to see someone in the medical establishment. Whether to take your child for a well child visit, why you have to take a well child in to see the doctor will forever escape me. Why folks need to go see the doctor when they have something like a fever or some type of wound that they can treat themselves at home. And through my podcast, I'm going to teach you how to do all that. I teach people now, right? I'm part of a very vibrant, growing homestead community where I teach folks how to do their own stitches. And I teach people how to do things every day, just like they used to do it ages ago, long time ago, before the medical establishment took over everything and took our power away from us. We are smart creatures, and with the right knowledge and watching out, right, for the major alarm bells of when someone probably should get in to see a doctor. Aside from those things, every day we can create health. We can take care of acute things that come up. You are your own best doctor, and I want to help you be your own best doctor. So how do you interact with me? Because I've had folks ask that all the time. Well, every 6 weeks or so here on the podcast, I'm going to do a live Q&A. And if you sign up to my mailing list, which the link is going to be there, it'll also be in the transcript, I'll email you and let you know when and where. So it'll be Zoom, and you can join me. You can ask questions. We can talk about things. I won't be able to give you medical advice for you personally because that's not very ethical, especially with the kind of medicine that I practice, which is very individualized. And I need lots of information before I can give someone a treatment plan. But again, there'll be so many things I can tell you because you are your own best doctor, right? Some vital wisdom I can give to you that will help you in that journey. You can also email me questions, and I have an email address there as well that you can use. So that's how you interact with me. I'll air every Sunday morning as I delve into a whole lot of different topics. I'm very excited to share what I know with you and to answer questions that you might have and to help you create your body into a thriving organism that can reach its higher purpose and help you do the same thing with your family and friends. I'm very excited to be able to do that. I hope it's controversial. I hope I say things that make people go, what? Because that's when you really have someone's attention. So join me next Sunday when we start with our first episode, Why Vitalism? An Understanding a Vitalistic Approach to Health. We'll talk about what it is, how it's different from other models of health like allopathy or reductionism, and what is inspiring this return to vitalism amongst humans right now, and so much more. Thanks. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you next week.